welcome back to Modern Homesteading with Tessa. I'm Tessa, and this is the channel where I show you how to feed yourself, which is kind of important these days. So today, I'm going to show you guys how I can my bread and butter pickles. And I'm going to show you how I do both the traditional regular bread and butter pickle as well as the horseradish bread and butter pickles. So follow along and I'll show you how to do it. All right. So I'm starting off with 20 pounds of pickling cucumbers that I bought from a local farm. My cucumbers just did not grow that well this year, so I ended up having to buy them. But make sure you do buy or grow a pickling type of cucumber, because the slicers will just make mushy pickles. So let's get them washed up, and then we are going to remove the blossom end. So this is the blossom end right there. That's the stem end. And removing the blossom end, there's enzymes in the blossom end that will cause your pickles to be mushy. So you want to definitely make sure you get that off of there, but we're going to be slicing all of these. So I'm removing both ends, and then I'm going to use my food processor to slice them. It just makes the work so fast, so easy. And I find for my particular food processor, it's easier if I stack two cucumbers. Well, that was one cucumber, but if I stack two next to each other, it keeps them upright a little bit better. Then I'm going to transfer these over to a measuring cup and measure them out. Look at those little chips there. For every 10 cups of sliced cucumbers, I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of salt. And the purpose of the salt, what this is going to do is start drawing the moisture out of the pickles or out of the cucumbers, and it's going to give you a crunchier texture in your end product. So here's all those cucumbers, oh my gosh, with the salt added in. And next we're going to start in on our onions. So these are some onions that had bolted in my garden, and bolted onions are totally fine to use. They just won't store very long, so this is a great application for bolted onions. You do want to watch out for the core of some bolted onions. They'll have kind of a woody core that you definitely want to remove before you go to slicing them up. So I'm going to get them all washed up and peeled. And then I cut them in half, and then I slice these by hand because I like to have the long ribbons of onion in my bread and butter pickles. And I'm adding about 2 cups of onions per 10 cups of cucumbers. Once we have these all incorporated in the salt, we're going to let these soak for 1 hour. After that 1 hour, I'm going to rinse them all off and add a bunch of fresh, clean water and let them soak again for another 3 to 4 hours. I found that if you just do the first soak and you just rinse them off, your cucumbers end up really salty. So that second soak in fresh water, make sure that they're not super, super salty. All right, so now we're gonna make our brine. So I'm doing half of this batch just regular old bread and butter pickles. The other half of the batch I'm doing with horseradish. And the horseradish version has no turmeric or mustard seeds in it. So I'm going to do the regular turmeric version first. So for that, we are going to need 9 cups of regular old white distilled vinegar, 6 cups of sugar, 6 tablespoons of mustard seed, and 1 tablespoon of ground turmeric. And this is what's going to give the bread and butter pickles their characteristic yellow golden color, and it's good for you. Alright, so we're going to get this on the stove and get this heating up and get the sugar all dissolving, and we'll move on to the next step. So my canning kitchen, this might look weird, but my canning kitchen is out in the barn. This is an old milk room. And so the floor is all concrete. And there's a drain in the floor. So it looks weird that I'm just like pouring water on the table, but that's why. It's pretty handy though. So next we're going to drain off about half of the cucumber onion mixture for the first batch. All right, and then I'm gonna get, that's about half, so I'm gonna get my jars ready. All right, my brine has come to a boil and the sugar is all dissolved. So I turned the heat down a little bit and now we can start adding the cucumbers and onions. We will let that return to a boil. All right, and we have come up to a boil now. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the heat off and start getting our jars loaded. I feel like I should clarify that this is hot water coming out of this hose. My jars are hot, so I need to make sure I match with hot water so I don't get any breakage. Alright, our water is somewhere between 1 and 2 inches above our jars, so we'll get this on and get it going. Alright, so then for our horseradish version, it's the same amount of vinegar, 9 cups of vinegar, same amount of sugar, 6 cups of sugar. And then instead of the turmeric and mustard seeds, we are going to add 6 tablespoons of horseradish. And this is Grant's favorite version of the bread and butter pickles. He loves these. He has his last jar from last year sitting in the fridge that he hasn't opened yet. So once these are made, he'll feel better about opening them. And same thing, we're gonna get this onto the stove to come up to a boil, add our cucumbers, and load our jars. And I feel like I should mention, we're not adding any salt to this because there's plenty of salt in the cucumbers already from our previous soak. Our first batch has come up to a boil, so we're gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. So I find it's easiest to pack my cukes in there without a lot of brine at first. And then I will come back through and add the brine and debubble and then adjust, you know, take some cukes out of one and put them in the other. And then top with brine. We're going for a 1/2 inch headspace to end with. So I feel like this is easier. If I do it the other way and I just scoop brine and cucumbers all at once, I end up with some jars that have too much brine and not enough cukes, and vice versa. So that's just what works for me. As always, wipe your rims really well. This is kind of a sticky brine, so make sure they're nice and clean before you put your lids on. And my timer went off on my first batch. Look how beautiful that is. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this first batch out of the canner. And put our next batch, the horseradish batch, is going back into the canner. Alright, so I ended up with 13 pints of the regular bread and butter pickles and 13 pints of the horseradish bread and butter pickles, for a grand total of 26 jars. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you like this video, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more homestead stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!